murdered. Yeah, yeah. Coming up next on the Mental Health Matters with Marty show. Y'all, we've been on, this is day number 3. We are so excited, but we want to finish this conversation about suffering in silence, especially men. Stay tuned. We got a great show coming up right next. What's up, everybody? It's your boy. It's Martina Sellers, your mental health hygienist, coming to you live and in living color. Listen, I'm so excited. You know when you say something and your producer's in your ear saying you said something wrong, but that's the kind of day we're having. It's okay. That's just how we roll here on the Mental Health Matters with Marty show. Listen, we're coming to you live and in living color in Southern California, where the sun is always shining, and it was in the triple digits here today. We still at 100, y'all. Listen, that's how we roll out here in Southern California. But hope you are doing well wherever you are at. And we want you to know, come in the room, because we got a great show coming up for you today. And that's what it's all about. But you know how we do it here on the Mental Health Matters with Marty show. We want to remind you, the Mental Health Matters with Marty show is a show that's designed for psychoeducational purposes only. In other words, we are not a substitute for your therapy or your life coach experience. However, we are a supplement, meaning this: we are part of your treatment plan. We are part of your way of stopping the stinking thinking. We're a part of the conversations to normalize mental health and mental health awareness. However, we are not a substitute for that. So if you're experiencing any type of mental health crisis or any type of mental breakdown or anything that you might be going through, always go to 911 or to your nearest urgent care. But if you're doing all right, listen, stay tuned, because we got a show for you. But now, let me remind you, how do you engage in the show? Yes, we've changed our format a little bit. Hopefully, we're looking like CNN. I need someone from CNN. I need Oprah. I need Tyler Perry. I need somebody to pick this show up so we can go on a national tour. But until then, you can jump into Mental Health Matters with Marty on your Facebook page or Marcel Media Group on YouTube. That's how we engage in the conversation, so that we can two formats. Listen, we're not trying to ignore you, but that's how we see your comments, your posts, or your requests. But do me a favor, drop some names in there, because we're talking about some great subjects tonight. So, hey, welcome again. So let's talk about what we're talking about tonight. What are we talking about tonight? I'm so glad that you asked that wonderful question. So what we're talking about tonight is the continued suffering in silence. September is Suicide Awareness Month, and too many of our men, too many of us are secretly suffering in silence in the shadow of shame. I've always shared with you, and I'm always very candid about that, that a former client of mine, Richard Love, who committed suicide over 5 years ago because he did not know how or felt he did not have the opportunity to share his true emotions. And I did have the permission from the family to share his name, because it means so much. And when a young Black man feels that his only way of dealing with life is to end it. Suicide is something that we cannot ignore, especially in our communities of color. Whether we're dealing with suicide, over 47,000 people every year commit suicide or have a completion of suicide. We won't talk about the over millions of people who have suicide ideation. We won't talk about the 3 million people or the 1.5 million people who actually attempt suicide, where we have 47,500 who are actually successful in the completion of it. However, we want to help change the dialogue and the stigma of that by saying we got to have the necessary conversations because too many people are suffering in silence. And how do they do that? Oftentimes in communities as well, we cannot ignore the fact of overdose, drug use, alcohol, and those type of things, accidents that are disguised as accidents that could also be suicide as well. In our community, we know that there has been, since the pandemic, an increase in alcohol use. There has been an increase in drug use. There has been an increase in purchasing of guns. But too many of us are suffering in silence in the shadow of shame and not saying, bro, I'm not okay. And saying that you're not okay is okay. And we have to normalize that at some point in time, all of us have suffered. All of us have had these suicide, possibly some suicide ideation. Some of us have felt like giving up in life. But can we have those conversations? Can we talk about it so we can say, hey, I'm not crazy. I'm not in this alone. And we have to change the mindset, stop the stinking thinking, and change and take our minds from out of the gutter and placing them in a safer space and placing them in a place where I can get help and placing them among friends where I can find comfort and family members where I can find strength and loved ones that will come and surround me and say, it's okay that you're not okay. So that's the topic of tonight and how you can help that. Place some people's names in the chat box below. Invite them in the room because this is a very important conversation. We have to normalize talking about mental health in our Black and brown communities because listen, it's okay to say you're not okay. Okay, that's how we're rolling today, y'all. So glad. We love to have you engaged. Again, how do you get engaged? By putting comments in the Mental Health Matters with Marty page on Facebook. Okay, and we just found out that Facebook is having some issues, so we're going to get back on that. But if you want to just jump on YouTube, YouTube for some reason never has issues. And so if you want to jump on YouTube, go on over to YouTube, check us out on YouTube. We'll see your comments there. But since you're here, we're so glad you're here. Let me know you're in the room. Those of you on YouTube, let us know you're in the room. Those of you on Facebook, keep trying. When we finally break through and get that settled, we'll gladly have you in here so we can see your comments as well. But hey, welcome again. I am so glad to have these two guests with us on tonight. But first, I'm going to bring in the one that's all the way from the ATL. We still love him. He's brilliant. He's the life coach ATL, none other than, come on, Mr. Creole himself. What's going on, Sharif?
What's up? What's up, buddy? Hey, man, I just want to tell you, man, I love the hat. Hey, I just want to tell everybody, Marty Marr did not have that hat on when we started this show, all right? He put that hat on as soon as he saw my hat, and he was like, I'm not going to let him outdo me. I'm just letting you know.
That's right.
But, yo, it's always a pleasure to be here, man. Thank you for letting me be another guest, guest speaker, whatnot. I appreciate it. I love you. And anything.
Likewise, brother. So listen, I know that's right. Listen, I love what you do, man. And I look at your posts every day. Yes, that's right. Okay. Uniqueness, Jordan. Come on, uniqueness. Come on. Hey, I'm here. Glad to have you here, baby. Glad to have you here. Sharif, what have you been up to, man? You hard to catch up with. I thought I had to, I can get a better job of trying to get a hold of President Barack Obama than trying to get a hold of you. You've been rained on in with your drop top down on the Jeep, man, while you're in ATL. You just like, hey, baby, it rains sometime. We just keep it happy. We just keep it pushing. I'm like, okay,
absolutely.
Come on. Yes.
Absolutely.
How
Hey, you
you
gotta learn how
been?
to you gotta learn how to dance in the rain, baby. You gotta learn how to dance in it.
Listen,
Hey man, I've been
I
amazing,
understand.
man.
Well,
Life is good
you're
right
looking
now. Life is
amazing.
really good. Well, thank you.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
appreciate that. I was waiting for that amazing introduction that you usually give me, but I'm gonna take what I get tonight, though. I'm gonna
What's
take
my
what I get
amazing?
tonight.
Well, do I need to reintroduce you?
Nah, it's okay. It's all good. It's all good. But no, man, I've been great, man. Life is good. Life is treating me
Excellent,
well. Life
excellent.
has been treating me well. I mean, this is a great topic that we're talking about this evening. I know
Yeah.
I definitely could use this. I know that recently,
Hmm.
just a couple months ago, you checked in on me, and I was like, man, I'm not doing so hot right now.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
doing my therapy and stuff, but I just need to take a little break from everything. And
yeah,
you didn't allow me to suffer in silence. You was like, hey, brother, anything that you need, I got you. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
appreciate that, and I appreciate you always doing that and always being there, man. And again, so this is a perfect topic for me right now. Just men suffering in silence in general. So thank you. I love
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
brother, and I'm ready to have an amazing
Likewise.
show.
Yes, yes, because it's so important because in this rat race we've come through and we're still in a pandemic. You and I, and like Bernard, we are in our own private practice. We're doing our thing. A business goes up and down. We're trying to juggle our family, our children, and after sometimes it just gets too much, and you gotta say, I gotta break this monotony. I gotta break what I'm going through and take some time out to do some self care for myself and to do some
Yeah.
self-care with my family and all that. Wait a minute, you was all up there partying in Chi-Town and everything, getting your groove on.
Now
I'm
look,
like,
now
wait
stop
a
telling
minute.
about my damn business now.
I'm like,
You
a
ain't
brother
gonna,
can get a
you ain't gonna
ticket.
be telling about my business.
I like Chicago. I like the pizza. Hey.
But
No,
nah,
but
you
on,
are
on the
absolutely
real,
right, though, brother. You
yeah,
are absolutely
yeah,
right, though. I mean, I just needed a reset. You know what I mean? And there's absolutely nothing
yes,
wrong with that. But you have to
yes,
actually have the tools to be able to do that. And a lot of people don't have those tools. And I'm glad that I was able
yeah,
to be blessed with having those tools to be able to reset and say, hey,
right,
I'm coming to my limit. And before I get to my
yeah.
limit, I need to make sure that I hit that reset button and then come back fresh and better than ever with my dope ass hat on.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. Nicole, I see you, darling. What you do is it's Marcel Media Group on YouTube. But hey, Nicole, we know you. We love you, baby. And next time I'm over at Griffith Park, I'm calling you. We going out to hang out, get some coffee, do something, and everything. Nicole has been faithful. But man, I'm so glad that you took some time. Trust me, as I was watching you, kind of do the relaxation, everything. I'm like, oh, this Negro out here just relaxing like ain't nobody got a care in the world. Uh, I'm all
Are you gonna
stressed the
shame
hell
me?
out.
You
Right,
gonna
right,
shame me?
right. Is that a brother
You gonna
jealous or
shame me for
what?
taking care of myself?
I was like, I said, Daryl, who he think he is? Go do some R&R. I'm up here trying to work and all this stuff. I was at work mad. But no, man,
Oh
I'm
man.
excited. I'm excited. You know how you low key hating, like,
I
okay,
know your ass be low key
okay.
hating. I know you do.
Hope you're enjoying
Exactly.
yourself.
On your
Yes,
west
yes.
side.
Right, right. Do my little, my crip walk and everything. So, but man, so glad to see you back and glad that everything was well for you and your family. That's most important because you are a great reminder that we have to take time to take care of ourselves, and we have to sometimes get off of that hamster wheel called life and really slow things down and get back in our own pace with things. So man, thank you for sharing that and everything. Listen, I want to bring on our next guest, if you will. First time that you've been on the show with him, but he's not a first time on the Mental Health Matters with Marty show. None other than my homie, my colleague, none other than Mr. Bernard Owens. How are you, Bernard?
Mental health with Marty. It's a pleasure to be here,
Yes,
man. Thank you
sir.
very much. Thank you very
Man,
much. How
good
y'all
seeing
doing?
you. I
Good to see
can't
you guys
complain.
too.
I'm not one to gossip,
Amazing.
but you gotta watch the Creole one and everything. But I got these two light skinned brothers on here tonight. So Bernard, how you bees, man?
Don't. See,
Look, man,
you know
Bernard
what?
already told you he a lover, not a fighter. All right.
Oh,
Yeah, man,
that's right.
I'm here in the name of peace and healing. So let's,
That's right.
yeah.
Yes. I love it. And let's start there, brother. How you feeling?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you so much for having me back on. My name is Bernard Owens. I am a mental health clinician here, and I work in the DMV area. I'm also an author, a speaker, but most importantly, I'm an advocate for marginalized populations. So I'm glad, man. I'm glad to talk about mental health and how it affects our loved ones and ourselves and folks that we care about. So.
Yes. Glad to have it. Don't say anything, cause the hat came off.
He was sweating. But no, what I tell you? What I tell you was gonna happen.
What happened?
I told you.
Listen.
I said he gonna have that hat on for 10 minutes, and then he gonna take it off.
I made it 19, so I'm doing all right. But yes, man. Bernard, always glad to have you, man. So can we just I talked to Sharif about this too. When you are feeling like you are at the breaking point, or that you're at your boiling point, one, how do you know that, and what usually is your go-to to kind of get yourself back settled and back to your grounding point? Bernard.
That's a great question, man. It's one of those things where I just turned 50 years old, right? So in the work that I started at like 20 years old, you ask me how you come to know. When you do introspective work, you come to know yourself. But I will say, the last time I had an upset, it surprised me, it caught me off guard. And because I work in the field, I was able to do some interventions, get myself back on track.
Right.
But there are times that the pressure can be so heavy that you don't realize that you're careening into an area that you don't want to be in. So it's always good to be vigilant and have people around you who can let you know too, like something's not right. So those are the things I do, just kind of check in.
I totally agree. Now, in our practices, guys, what are we seeing from specifically Black men, but men in general, when they're at their points? Because I'm getting men coming to like frustrated and angry and just not knowing when to say, hey, like Sharif, like you were saying, I need a break. I need to change this routine I'm in, because right now this road I'm on is going to cause more damage than good. Sharif, what are you seeing in your practice, and how are you able to reach those men?
I'm seeing a lot of silence, to be honest with you. And that silence is scary. That silence can be scary, man. And so I'm making sure that I'm reaching out to my clients and making sure that they're okay on a consistent basis. But a lot of silence, and then comes in that anger. And like this platform is about right now, man. People just don't know what to do. Like they don't know how to do it, or what to do, or what to say, or anything like that. So they kind of retreat, and especially us men, we retreat because we think that it's not okay to say anything. We think that it's okay to just, because we've been taught all of our lives, like, men, suck it up, don't say nothing. You'll be a man. You know what I mean? We've been taught all those stereotypes. And so therefore we keep on living with that. And it goes into our adulthood. And so that's what I've been seeing, is just a lot of silence from my clients, and me trying to get them out of that.
Exactly. Bernard, what about yourself? What are some things that you've been seeing, especially during this pandemic?
I've been seeing a lot of clients experiencing masking, covering things up. A lot of self-medication. I think things, substances being a little bit more acceptable, and certain things being legal and certain things not. I think I've seen a lot more of that, of just the normalcy of using substances to kind of deal with whatever they're going through, and not knowing that there may be a different road or a different way to tackle that. And also that once the substance is gone, all of that stuff still comes right back up. So, I'm seeing
it really does.
Isolation. Yeah.
Yes. And those are all, as we know in the profession, are all telltale signs that something else is going on. Those are telltale signs of some depression. They're signs of high anxiety. They're signs of, even when we're talking about PTSD, that so many Black men and so many men, especially during this pandemic, men of color have experienced. But yet we feel, well, I haven't gone to war. It's like, well, PTSD is not just for veterans and those who've been in war. So some of us are living in psychological war zones. Come on, when we're doing that, and even being the push and pull. And I love, Bernard, what you were saying, the mask. You got to put on one type of mask at work. You got to put on another type of mask at home. You got to put on another type of mask with your boys. When do we ever get a chance to, can I say, unmask ourselves and just be who we are? Yes. LaDon has this as well. You reach out to your clients. I've never have or heard a therapist doing that. LaDon, I try to do that too, especially those that I know that might be going through something, or I see some different things that happen. Sharif, what about yourself? Do you sometimes reach out to your clients, even though they may not have just like, hey, you've been on my mind, or what's going on? You've been real silent and quiet here lately. Is that a practice that you do with those who really you build a rapport with?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all of my clients, again, I'm a life coach. I'm not a therapist. So my job is accountability. A lot of that is just accountability and making sure my clients are doing what they said they were supposed to be doing. But, Marty, before we jump off that, we got to make sure we get to the root of it. Like, what is causing us to suffer in silence? You know what I mean? Like, that's an important topic. And for me, what it comes from is us being taught that at a young age, and not seeing anything different. Like going through life and seeing the alcoholism and the abuse and the verbal abuse and the physical abuse and thinking that that's okay, And then once we realize that it's not okay, well, how do we even realize that it's not okay? The only reason why I ever realized that things like that weren't okay is because I had to be put into a different environment. And then once I saw a different environment, then I was like, okay, this is much different than guns being drawn and knives being pulled and people fight. It's much different than when I go to Johnny's house than when I'm at my house. So now I see a difference. Now I see that there's something different. Now I can navigate and I can be like, okay, I want better for myself. But a lot of us don't get that opportunity to want better for ourselves because we are stuck in that environment for so long. We're just stuck in the same environment. So that's where it comes from me.
Yeah. I hear it. Wow. I love it. My mask is so damn heavy from all these masks I wear. LaDon, I think you're absolutely right. It is heavy from that. And I love what you even said, Sharif. A lot of times we have normalized trauma. We've normalized, being unhealthy. We've normalized this chaos of this confusion and what we see in our family. But here's what I think is even sadder in that some of us are so used to a culture of chaos till even when we are introduced to a more peaceful one, and I've seen this with some clients, we will destroy the peace to go back to what we know, because we're not comfortable in a peaceful environment. So or a non-chaotic environment, and we have found peace and solitude in chaos. And that scares me because then you go, how do we bring you out of that? And you can't force someone out of it. They have to, like you said, Sharif, they have to desire to come out of that. And some of us have no desire because it's the fear of the unknown. I don't know what life is like in a peaceful environment. Therefore, I constantly retreat back to a chaotic, the habits. You retreat back to that same lover that beats you. You retreat back to that same lover who abuses you. You retreat back to that same job that you complain about because that's comfort for you. And we're scared to step out. And I say it this way, step out on faith and really trust our own gifts and discernment in that area.
Yeah. I don't think that it's because that they don't want to. It's because that's what they're used to. You're used to that chaos. You're used to that. You're like you said, you're comfortable in that. So when you get comfortable in a situation like that, you're going to always go back to that.
I love it. LaDon says that peaceful environment is unfamiliar. You're right. It is. And now how do we familiarize ourselves with peace? Lord, how do we familiarize ourselves with real success and not ghetto fabulous success? Bernard, you were going to say something. I cut you off, brother.
I was just going to say this is great. When we talk about mental health, specifically as we're addressing it with Black men, we need to understand that vulnerability and humanity can exist in the same space. And that's
Ooh.
something, we need to create a space for that. We need to be able to create a space for that with each other and with the women in our lives and the others in our lives, to know that the two are not mutually exclusive. You can be vulnerable
Right.
and still be, a man. Those things,
Wow.
these
Masculine.
conversations need to happen, you know,
Right.
in
Right.
whatever capacity you live and work. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's one of
Mm-hmm.
the things we really need to think about and talk about. When I was talking about earlier about the masking and the use of substances,
Yeah.
everybody is born with these traits of what it means to be a human being, to love, to feel sad, to feel happy. But for some of us, particularly Black men, we're confined to what you are able to experience: anger,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sex, hunger,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
it's so limited that it doesn't allow us the full breadth of what it means to be a human being. And some of that comes from, I would imagine, what we've been through in this country as Black peoples.
Mm-hmm.
If you're too vulnerable, you'll
Mm-hmm.
be taken advantage of. But this is
Mm-hmm.
2021, and we delve into knowing that it's okay for us to have feelings and express those feelings and not feel any less than because we are doing so. So I
Mm.
think we just need to talk about safe spaces.
Yeah, and I think it's normal for us to talk about those safe spaces, but what about those men who still think therapy service, who still think coaching services and life coaching services are for weak people, or is a bougie white man's privilege that they have? And I'm all right, I'm all right. As we
Yeah,
always say, how
yeah.
you feeling? I'm all right. And how do we help reach more populations in our own communities to say it's okay that you see somebody? It's not a sign of weakness, actually it's a sign of strength. And how do we help men become more vulnerable in those
Some of that,
regards? Go ahead, Bernard.
I was just going to say quickly that some of that stuff is already seen into the popular culture. If you watch television now, you'll hear people
Yes.
use terms like "I was triggered" or "I needed a self-care day," and those are expressions that were common to us as clinicians. But I like the fact that it's moving into the mainstream. So it's happening, but not at the pace with which we're experiencing mental health breakdowns. So, I just think it's one of those things. I'll tell you an anecdote. I had a conversation with my dad,
Okay.
who's like alpha male, about 6 months ago, and we were talking about some stuff,
Right.
some family dynamics, and I was gently calling him out on some things, and
Uh-huh.
he said to me, I really appreciate you taking this time to talk to me. Now, if anybody else had said those things to me, I would have punched them in the face. But I
Oh,
trust your
wow.
opinion, and I just laughed, and we laughed. We laughed
Right.
because I knew that he could hear it from me. So when we talk about this
Right.
stuff, we need to talk about who is conveying the
That's
messages to you. Is it
good.
someone that you trust? And
That's
that's one of the
good.
reasons why we want to make mental health services available from practitioners to everybody.
Yeah, man, I think that's so key. Saying it from a trusted person, and that you and your father, of course, you were able to convey that to him, and that he this alpha male father that you have. So, if it had come from anyone else, I would have slapped the right out of him. But
Punched
since
him
it's
in the
Right,
you,
face.
right,
right, right,
and I loved it. I loved it. I love that he said that to me because that let me know that he knew that I was coming from a place of love with which I was talking to him. You know what I mean? And I think as brothers,
yes,
we do that for each other sometimes. We may not always have the best lingo or whatever, but there are times when brothers are just communicating with brothers that we understand each other in a way that nobody
that's
else does.
good. Good. Okay, you opened the door, so let's walk through this door. Father-son relationships, especially in the Black community. Oh, you're smiling, Bernard. You're smiling. You're smiling.
I'm writing a whole book about it, man. I can write a whole book
Come
about it. But
on.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
Go ahead, please jump right in.
that's I'm gonna leave my anecdote with my dad there. Despite his threat of violence, he tells me all the time. He
Right,
tells me
right,
all the
right.
time that he loves me, and that's a relationship that's evolved. And I've shared
Yeah.
this before that you want to work on healing your life. Have a conversation with your parents, and not child to parent, but as adult to adult, and find out their story, and that can open the door for you in terms of your own healing, and it'll improve the relationship with them.
Yes.
but it's in how you approach them that transformation is possible. You can't
That's
approach them in
good.
an accusatory way or in a way that is expecting some sort of apology from them. You just want to hear what they've been through, and watch what happens.
How do we I love this. A unique perspective says, I think it's about how others are responding to men when they are vulnerable. We need to change our language when others are coming to us being expressive. A unique perspective. I totally agree with you on that. We language, and whether it's body language, whether it's being accusatory or not, all that is so important to how we respond and make it a safe space for men to share. Sharif, what would you say to that comment? And I'm going to ask you about the father-son relationship as well.
No, I mean, I totally agree, man. I mean, as I was saying before, I mean, it just environments, a lot of things have to do with you. When you're 5 years old and you coming out of the house and you got a broke leg and your uncle's like, suck it up, be a man.
Right,
like,
right. You like,
my bone is coming through my leg.
But I'm also just get some duct tape.
So
You'll be all right.
Holding on to that. Yeah, right. Yeah, I go put some tussin on it. Like, what?
Right.
My leg is broke.
Not some tussin.
Right.
Go put some tussin on it, boy. You'll be all right. Right. So yes, we have to change that mentality of like, yo, you're expecting these young boys to be men, and they're not. Like, they're not men. Yeah. It's okay for these young boys to cry. It's okay for these young boys to show their emotions, because if not, you end up with people that are hurting people. Hurt people because they don't know how to express themselves. So we got to open it up, man. We got to educate. Do you remember the movie Precious? Do you remember when you went to the movie and you saw it? I went to the movie and I saw it, and the mother was saying some like ungodly, like,
hurtful thing. Yes.
And the theater was laughing, and I'm like looking around like, this ain't normal. Like, this ain't how it's supposed to be. Like, at all. So we got to get away from that, man. We got to educate ourselves. We got to educate people.
Yes. So, I had an amazing, and when you talked about that, I had this amazing client that's a father-son relationship, and the father flew in from out of state to have this session with his son. I was so amazed by that. He says, Marty, I'm 65 years old, and I want to do something to mend this relationship with my son, and the father then began to share. The son was just angry and said, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. And he just admitted, you're absolutely right. I didn't. So how can I help you? And he says, there's just a missing hole. So as the father then began to explain that he tried to do his best, he wished he had reached out sooner, but he became the man of the house at age 10. The man of the house at age 10. By 15, his mother said, I'm out. Call your dad and tell him to finish raising you guys. The dad said, I'm not coming in. You take the house and you raise at 15 your two younger brothers. This man graduated from high school that nobody was at, and then after he graduated from high school, went and was there with his promotion of his younger sibling out of middle school. So he was being a father there. So when he he was just burned out with doing some things. So by sharing that story, I say all that to say this: it helped bridge the gap between he and his son, so that they can start the healing process and unpack all of that work. Now, do we have a whole hell of a lot of more work to do? Yes, we do. Because now we're talking about how do we break these generational cycles, and how do we now heal not just the immediate family, but heal the extended family as well. Jonathan, always good to see you, my brother, says, I'm working with my therapist on now to unpack the damage caused by decisions of my dad to not take on an active role in my life. How do you initiate, that's a good one, that conversation with an alpha male / dad to understand what their thoughts were during that period of time and why they chose to walk away? Wow, that's so good. Bernard, do you want to take a stab at it, and then you, Sharif? Bernard's going, wow.
Man. Wow. I really appreciate his comment. I with my own dad, I had questions about how things had changed. My parents divorced. My dad said to me, "Take care of
Right.
your mother," and somehow I internalized that.
Yeah.
So when he asked the question like, "How do you have this conversation?" The best conversations between me and my dad later were again Bernard Jr. to Bernard Sr. Son, not son to father, but man to man, where I just wanted to know
Yes.
what was going on with him and what he thought about. And where I had seen abandonment, he had seen you don't know what it takes for a man to leave his children, but knows it's the best thing for
Oh,
them at the
wow.
time. You got. I really want to encourage people to think about what that
Yes.
parent may have been going through. I had never thought of it that way. I was just thinking about what had happened in my life. So I would. That's the advice I would give. If you have the opportunity, and I've said this before, if you have the opportunity and the willingness, and the person is willing, when you come from a place of love and not accusation or anger, and just want to sit down and talk about, hey, what was going on with you when you were 23? I'm experiencing some things, and I was just curious, like, how do you? It'll slowly open the conversation to learning more, and when you learn more, I believe that it can help the relationship. So I hope that helps the person with the question there, because that's an example from my own life. Yeah,
I
I
agree.
love
I
what,
agree with that
yeah.
1,000%, Bernard. I agree with that 1,000%. And I would also piggyback off that. I would say, Jonathan, you got to heal your heart first. You know what I mean? Because once you heal your heart, then don't nothing else matter. You know, whatever your father's decision is, whatever he says back to you, it's not going to matter anymore because you've already healed. So if you're looking for answers, if you need these answers and things like that, I would say heal first and then talk to your father, because you're not needing or wanting anything from him. Like, I don't know if there's something that you're desiring or that you need, or that you need the father figure anymore. But I would say heal first and then go talk to him.
That's
yeah.
good. That's good. I love what you were saying, Bernard, about that. It's standing in your father's shoes. Not saying that you have to agree with it, but possibly looking at it from his perspective. Again, not that you agree with the perspective. It's like, okay, let me try and stand in his shoes, especially in that day, taking context of time, context of, can we even say context of where you were at, what demographics you lived in, whether it's on the East Coast, whether it's down South, whether it's on the West Coast, because that had a lot, whether it's in the Midwest, in Ohio, where I was at, that has a lot to it. Was it a large city? Was it a small town? Was there active family members around? And then definitely by the same token, Sharif, I hear you saying forgiveness. Learning to forgive them to save yourself. It's no secret that I've shared on this show. I grew up in a domestic violent household, and I know my father loved us, but he didn't know how to show it. And so he was angry all the time, which I think was, I have my own diagnosis for my father. And I know my mother loved him. I couldn't understand that. But as I got older and start to hear their stories, I got to understand better. Now, I don't mean I approved of it, or it doesn't mean that I wasn't angry about it. My father and I had a horribly tumultuous relationship most of my life. And I remember on his deathbed, he's like, will you forgive me? I said, Dad, I forgave you years ago because I had to forgive you for myself. I couldn't hold on to that in order
say that
and be
again for the
that.
people in the back, please. Yeah.
Really, I had to forgive my father for myself. Now,
Right.
I had to learn to love him as my father. I did not always respect him as a man. Now, hear me when I say that, but I had to respect him as being my father. I'll say that he provided for us when I lived there. We never went without. So I had to take all those things into account. And then I took into account that he never knew his own father. And then he was the baby. All these other things. So, I had to take all those things into account. And then as I became a therapist and started that whole thing, I broke down in family, family development and family, in class, just boo-hooing away. I'm like, oh my God, I'm really not crazy, y'all. But as you reflect, they're like, you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. but it happens.
There you go, hiding.
Right. I was. because I needed to put on this mask that I had everything together and that no one was going to say anything, and just, and it was one day I just couldn't hide it anymore. And the relief and the release that came out of that was like, oh, okay. Now I can share and say, hey, my father had these wonderful traits, and this is what I picked up from him. And I can also say, I didn't like those traits, and I can starve those things in me. His anger that I saw modeled, I can starve that out of my life. Now, sometimes I can become passive aggressive as a result of it. So then I have to challenge myself and say, okay, now anger has a purpose in our life. Just don't let it get out of control. So just really doing my own self-therapy and talking to my therapist about it has been amazing as well. Love this. So LaDon says, my father is deceased, and I had a spiritual reading where all I wanted to know is if my dad loved me. What was given that my father couldn't give what he didn't get. He conveyed that he was proud that I had broken the cycles with my son. LaDon, thank you so much. And I think, you know what, y'all, I think a lot of and I love this conversation that men keep chiming in, because I love that we're doing, a lot of us struggle with that. And I think it goes to the power of a father. And how we can change the cycle of our children by just, one, showing up, and two, expressing love. Sharif, your father, how has that been for you with raising your children?
Man, I show up. Yeah. I'm there. I'm present. I express my emotions to them, and I'm open to hearing their emotions, and I'm listening to them. And, as I said before, man, the most important thing that you could ever do to your children is you can listen. Yeah. Because they're going to tell you, but you got to listen. Yeah. You got to be open to hearing what they have to say, because, man, my kids, they can say some harsh stuff sometime, man, that I don't want to hear. Right. But after I go back and I dissect it, and I'm like, damn, you know what? You're right. And it's only going to make me better. And so I appreciate the relationship that I have with my kids, because we communicate. And, with every person, you're always learning to communicate better and better and better. But the fact that we communicate in general, and my daughters and my son, they can say, hey, you know what, Pops? I didn't really like that, that you did that, or that you said that. And, going back to what we were talking about, I only go off of what I learned. But now I have kids that I don't want them to grow up like that. So they teach me sometimes. And I'm like, damn, you're right. I don't want to be like that. So I apologize to you for saying this to you or doing this, because that was not my intent. Good. My intent is to love you and to make sure that you got love, and to make sure that you know that you're the most important thing in my life. So that's how I deal with my kids.
Yeah.
I love it. Go ahead, Bernard.
Great, man. I was thinking to myself the other day, there are some things that I didn't want to do for whatever reason. I can't even remember what they were now. And I wrote it on my mirror, my bathroom mirror. This something I had heard but kind of modified. Anyway, the quote is basically this: the key to being a successful adult is learning how to parent yourself. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay, that means the buck stops here at 50 years old. You know what I mean? And so inside of learning how to parent yourself, you take the good stuff you got from the parents that you had or didn't have, and then you figure out the stuff where you wish it could have been different. And because what Sharif was saying earlier with regard to his clients, at a certain point, it is about accountability. At a certain point, you can no longer blame your mother and your father and your grandmother. They play a role in how you develop, but at a certain point, you have to become accountable, begin to parent yourself, take the pieces that you liked from their parenting, modify that with parenting styles and things that you would like to see, and make that for yourself. And when I thought about that, like, wow, I have to parent myself. I guess I'm gonna have to get up and go to the gym. Like, all of those things where you just start kicking and wailing and don't want to do certain things. That's something I've been thinking about ever since, is that the key to being a successful adult is learning how to parent yourself.
Yeah, I love that. Sharif, you notice how he threw it. I guess I got to get up and go to the gym. I don't have that, that bodybuilder's body or anything like that. I ain't want to gossip, but I'm just saying. He got these broad shoulders come out.
That's what you do. That's why
I don't know how this is getting derailed from mental health, but put your hat back on. Go and take a station break and put your hat
Oh, there we go. So, okay, I put my mental health hat back on.
You feel better now?
I feel better now. I love
Bernard, that was an excellent point, though. The point that you made, though, is that we are adults now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The things that happened to us, yes, it is legit. It really did happen. And those are some negative things that happened in your lifetime. But you're a grown-ass man. You're a grown-ass woman now. And your mom and daddy, they ain't going to do that jail time for you. So you might want to hire a therapist or come see a life coach. LifeCoachATL.com.
LifeCoachATL.com.
But I'm serious, though.
Exactly.
They ain't going. I mean, seriously. You're an adult. You grown now. You know.
Yeah. But some of us,
and I
think this. Go ahead, Bernard.
I just want to say this: like, we are three men here, and we're talking about mental health for other Black men. And I'm not sure of you guys' situation, but I want people to know as they're watching this, I have my own mental health therapist. We meet every Friday.
Yes.
And I have my own life coach. I have my own life coach, right? Because you do not have to do this by yourself. I got a mental health therapist. I have health insurance, so I have a mental health therapist, and I have a life coach. I might be a little late on those payments sometimes, but I always get caught up. So it's like, but I'm learning to parent my family. I'm learning.
The hell with the life coach.
See how Brown? I'm learning to parent myself and my finances. So maybe that means fewer trips to Fort Lauderdale and more time, spending with the life coach. So it's all about prioritization. Again, what Sharif was saying, being an adult, you got to make some choices.
Yeah.
You got to make some choices.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I love that. You're right. We all have. I see my therapist, and he got on me the other day, and I was just like, "Really? Is this what we're doing? Is this what we're doing?" He's like, "Hey, you came to me, right?" I'm like, "Okay, I guess I got to do the work."
Yeah.
But some of us still struggle with doing the work. And that's what we want to encourage you. Don't be afraid to do the work. Don't be afraid. Your feelings will validate your feelings, but do you continue to live and go in that direction when you keep bumping your head up against the same wall? And what are you losing and what are you missing out on because you have not taken the time to heal yourself and heal for yourself and get the proper professional help that you need, whether it be a therapist, a life coach, and a therapist. I have actually both myself. And and so I get it. My life coach won't even see me till he sees the cha-ching. I'm like, really? At least my therapist, I can say, okay, oops, I left my card at home. But I guess we're doing virtual.
Wow.
Yes. But we say that in jest and humor, y'all, but I'm so glad that we can definitely talk about this and say this as well. I've been doing something new on the show, what I'm calling kind of something we want to celebrate that's going well in whether it's in our community or something. I'm going to start off. I want to give a shout out to Black men for really those who are starting to open up, those who are definitely sharing their pain, those who are really saying, hey, I can't do this any longer by myself and I need help because I want to heal my family. And definitely with that, I want to definitely give a shout out to those who are really trying in the effort. And also shout out to all the men who've made comments. LaDon, definitely thank you, man. Jonathan, man, always thank you. And those others, forgive me for not a unique perspective. Yes, thank you for that. And those others.
We give a shout out, Sharif. Sharif, we're allowed to get shout outs on this show.
Of course we're allowed to give.
Me and Sharif want to give shout outs.
Okay, go. I was coming around to y'all. Go ahead, Bernard. Do what you do. Who you shouting out tonight?
See, you guys have turned me into a confrontational person today, and I'm not usually that way. So
it was already there.
Right.
It was already there.
No, for real,
I helped you get it out.
Exactly.
John Henry Scott III. Good to see you, man. That's my coach.
Oh, that's your coach? Okay.
That's my executive business coach. Yes, sir. He's out of the ATL, but he don't hang out with Sharif or nothing like that. I'm not one to gossip. But go ahead, Bernard. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just gonna say, so that all points are covered. I do want to give a shout out to Black women who support Black men in any capacity.
Thank you.
Who allow those Black women who allow us to be vulnerable without judgment and allow us to feel safe spaces. Unique has been commenting tonight, and Unique is a good friend of mine.
Yes, she has.
And she does her own work in the community as a mental health therapist. So I'll give a shameless plug for Unique Jordan. You can find her on Instagram and all of that stuff. But just shout out to all the sisters that hold us up and support us as well.
Yes. Unique, I want to start following you. Hey, thank you for being on the show. And Unique, I got to have you on the show. Would love to have you on the show in the near future. Okay. Sharif Colbert. You know, he's Creole, you know.
Oh, okay. Tell us about that, Sharif.
John said, oh.
Tell us about that.
Who you giving a shout out to tonight?
No, man, I just appreciate, man, everybody that comes to lifecoachatl.com, shameless plug. I'm just happy, man, that y'all come out and that you guys are willing to do the work. So to all my clients, all my future clients, all the people out there that really, really, really know that you are trying to do the work and trying to get help and you just don't know how, come have a conversation with me. Lifecoachatl.com, my kids, my family, just, everybody, my friends, everybody, man, that, you don't have to suffer in silence. Know that you got people out here that are advocating for you. Know that you definitely have platforms out there. You got to pay attention. You got to look. You got Facebook. You got Instagram. So you can go to positive things. You can look and you can see that there's other people out there that are doing the exact same thing that you. There are other people out there that are hurting just like you. So don't be silent. You don't have to suffer in silence. You can come to my page.
That's right.
Come to Marty Marr. I mean, come to us. Talk to us, man. We can point you in the right direction, whatever it is. So I love you. I appreciate you. You dope as hell.
Yeah, man, I appreciate all y'all. Jonathan, we appreciate you, man, and what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Jonathan's an amazing professional in at one of the colleges out here in Southern California. So I love it because he's very transparent and let you know we all have something we're working through. None of us have arrived. I don't care what level you are at. And when we have these safe spaces to have this type of dialogue, we all are helping and healing in the process. I know I've taken stuff, Bernard, what you said. I know I've definitely bring me on. Unique, definitely. I definitely will. Okay. See, now I got a sister for life now too in here. Yes.
Oh,
would love to have you.
It's gonna be good. Let me know what day this is scheduled for. I'll be there.
Yes. Look, I'm going to say, Unique, I'll have my people contact your people. Yes. You need some Chi-Town flavor. Yes, come on. Yes, would love to have you, baby. Love to have you. Okay, so Chi-Town flavor. But yeah, man, I appreciate it. So before we go, man, I can't believe our time is up. I always have a great time with you, brothers. Can't wait till we all can get together and just kind of chop it up in person and everything, man, and just hang out. I know we have a great time. Y'all, I appreciate you so much. Bernard, how can people follow you and get your book and all that and follow up with you, man?
Well, for folks like me, I was told the other day that Facebook is for old people. So you can find me on Facebook. I said to somebody in a professional capacity, did you get my Facebook message? And he was like, well, what? Facebook? Anyway, so yes, right. Bernard Owens on Facebook. Or you can also find me on Instagram at BAscends, BASCENDS on Instagram. All right. So
tell us about your book, your first book, and how can we find your book? Where do we find your book? Where do we purchase your book?
So the book is slated to be released this spring, and you can get more information on the Facebook page. And that's what I will say about that. Some great stories, some of which I've already explained here, and just some lessons. If anything else, just talking about how you can pull some lessons from the pain that you've been through to make the pain mean something meaningful. So yeah, look for that.
Love it.
Spring.
Love it. Well, listen, Bernard, I want to do your book release launch party and everything, man. I would love to do that for you and do that. Hey, this is what we do. We got to support each other.
I appreciate that. That'll give me time to go out and buy a hat. So I'll have to go out and buy a hat.
I'm going to get a clean, Sharif and I going to get clean hats and then come in there, styling and profiling, coming there like we from Harlem Nights up in that piece.
Yes, I like it.
We want pinky toe.
Right, that's gonna say we want to shoot you in your pinky toe or hit you with a garbage can. Sharif, how can we get a hold of you, my brother?
Hey, I am Sharif Colbert, lifecoachatl.com. That is my website. My Instagram is lifecoachatl. My Facebook is lifecoachatl / your champ is here. My YouTube channel is lifecoachatl. Everything is lifecoachatl. So that's how you can get in touch with me. I'm easy to get in touch with. I'm easy to talk to, and I'm here for you. All right.
So if I need to get a hold of you, I just go to Life Coach ATL.
Anybody but you, because you don't pay people.
That's not true. I pay my life coach now.
Wow.
That's what I pay.
Wow.
You said it. I didn't.
Man, listen, y'all, much love to both of you. Thank you for being for showing vulnerability and really leading the way as we help Black men heal and no longer suffer in silence, y'all. So, y'all, thank you again for joining us with this amazing edition of Mental Health Matters with Marty, as we had our own Bernard Owens and also had Sharif Colbert. Even though he's not Creole, I still say he's Creole. But again, I'm Martina Sellis, your mental health hygienist. And also check out our website on mentalhealthmarty.com, where you definitely see some amazing all that good merch, Lord have mercy, merchandise on there. Please check out our journal, Stop the Stinking Thinking. That journal is on there, and soon to be released, the Stop the Stinking Thinking book, as well as our latest gear on Black mental health matters. In other words, Black men matter. That's also on our website in a t-shirt. And because it's getting cooler, we have it in a hoodie as well. And then definitely check out some of our episodes on Mental Health Matters with Marty podcast. And if you are an Apple listener, please give us a 5-star rating and a review. But become an iMatter member of Mental Health Matters with Marty by texting iMatter to 855-717-1272. We are so glad that you came out tonight. And again, we don't want you to continue to secretly suffer in silence in the shadow of shame. But y'all know how I say it each week. We want you to speak up, speak out, and live. Join us tomorrow night, same time, same bat channel, as we're going to have Dr. Margarita Story and Dr. Sean Stewart on here as we talk about the Cinderella Syndrome, power, position, and purpose of the prince in Cinderella. You do not want to miss these powerhouse as we talk about this Cinderella Syndrome, because Margarita Story is coming under Marcel Media Group with her podcast soon to be released. She is dynamic and a force to be reckoned with. But listen, y'all, we love to see you tomorrow night. Be safe out there. As I always say, always remember to speak up, speak out, and live so that you can, what y'all, enjoy your life. We'll see you tomorrow night. God bless.